Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another sports stuff video. Today, we are talking about the Kansas City Chiefs and their off-season plan to get back to the Super Bowl and get this dynasty back on track. So if you guys do enjoy, please do like, comment, subscribe. Let's get into the video. So the Kansas City Chiefs, they do make a coordinator change. Usually I go over coaching changes, but when it's just one coordinator, I'm not going to make a whole slide about it. They brought back Eric Bieniemy as their offensive coordinator, and with Eric Bieniemy, this was a top 10 efficient offense for I think it was for all 6 years that he was their offensive coordinator. He leaves to take other opportunities, and immediately they take a dip in efficiency. So I think the Kansas City Chiefs offensively absolutely will get back on track, and they'll become a top 10 efficient offense again. Defensively, they still have a lot of questions when it comes to personnel, but Steve Spagnuolo, one of the best defensive coordinators in football, I expect the Kansas City Chiefs to be back in playoff contention and contention for that AFC West title. So let's start with their offseason cuts and trades. Currently, they're at negative $62 million in cap space. That's a tough number to eat. I'm not gonna lie to you. That's a very tough number to be at, especially for a team that wants to try and make the playoffs next year and has a lot of things that they want to do. Being that far in the negative is not something that's very helpful. Next year, you get positive 73, so you're able to structure contracts to hit with later cap hits, and in 2028, 145. So honestly, the only really bad year is this year. You gotta get out of that hole, and thankfully, there's a lot of cuttable contracts, a lot of tradable and restructured contracts that can get you to above that number. So first off, we're cutting Jawan Taylor. Jawan Taylor is out of here. He's been very bad the last 2 years. Jawan Taylor had a 53 PFF grade, 67 pass blocking, 44 run blocking, 13 penalties, and 3 sacks allowed. He's third in penalties for all tackles in the NFL, and there's so many that are not called because he's on the Kansas City Chiefs. If you watch, this has been talked about for years now. When this dude jumps every single play to try and get an edge on the defender, and it never gets called, it's consistent. It is every play. And they always say if you keep doing it, they'll eventually stop calling it because they can't call you every single play. The NFL is not going to be cool with that. So Jawan Taylor takes advantage of that, and he jumps nearly every single play. He's been the issue for the offensive line since joining this team. The interior of the offensive line is definitely the strength. The tackle's been the issue. They signed Jawan Taylor. While he was a good starter for a little bit, he definitely was the weakest link on the offensive line. Josh Simmons, the rookie, played fantastic when he was healthy. And Jalen Moore, they signed him to a 3-year deal. That's the future at the position. Now, with Josh Simmons coming on so well early, they can move Jalen Moore to left tackle, and Jawan Taylor can be cut. They're entering the second act of this dynasty. They have to get cheaper around the edges. So you're going to have Patrick Mahomes making a lot of money. You're going to have a wide receiver eventually making a lot of money. You have Chris Jones making a lot of money. And you have a safety, a corner, Trent McDuffie making a lot of money. You got to choose positions that can make a lot of money. And I do think that Jawan Taylor, that level of tackle, cannot be making $20 million on this roster. This can't be happening. So you're entering the second act of the dynasty. You got to move on. And Patrick Mahomes, with his injury, you can do a minor reset at certain position groups because now you're saying, all right, we don't think we're going to be able to compete for a Super Bowl next year, so we don't need Jawan Taylor. We can run a season with Jalen Moore and Josh Simmons. Knowing we're not going for a Super Bowl, we're trying to go for a playoff appearance. So if we can move off Jawan Taylor and his money, we'd feel comfortable doing that. We're going to cut him, save $20 million against the cap space. Then there's some restructures. We're going to restructure Patrick Mahomes. Again, he's going to be on this team until he retires. We can push that money back as far as we want. Same with Chris Jones. We're going to push that money back as far as we want as well. Trey Smith and Creed Humphrey, they all open up money as well. We open up $88.5 million in cap space. Restructuring 4 guys that I can 100% guarantee will be on this roster in 5 years, right? Whether they're on the roster in 5 years or they've retired in 5 years, all these guys will be on this roster or retired. So I'm willing to push that money as far back as possible, open up $88.5 million, and already we're in the positive for the money. So now at 2026, we're at positive $45 million. Next year at positive $40, so we lost $30 million in next year's cap space because of all the restructures. Then in 2028, we lost another $30 million because of the restructures. But again, I think it's worth it. Every year you can just restructure these contracts, keep opening up more in space, and keep pushing that build down the line. And that's what I would do, is just to keep restructuring these guys that you know are going to be on your team for the next 5 years. First re-signing or extension is going to be Brian Cook. I think Brian Cook has definitely been the best safety on this team the last 2 years. This year, he had 64 tackles, no interceptions, 17 run stops, and 6 pass breakups. He outplayed Justin Reed, in my opinion, last year. I definitely think it was worth keeping Brian Cook as a starter. He has great deep field vision, really knows how to come off that line and lay a good hit. And he caps off a lot of the big plays that die in this defense. So whenever a big play starts happening, he's able to kill that route, kill that option, and I think that's a very effective rate. So I want to get Brian Cook extended on a 4-year, $47 million deal, $31.25 million guaranteed at 66% guaranteed. Sorry, my Ring camera is going off. A car is driving by. Apologies. So I want to get Brian Cook. Again, we know Trent McDuffie is going to be on this team as well. So if we can get a future lineup of Trent McDuffie and Brian Cook extended long term, then you get those rookie contract guys to fill in your cornerback 2, 3, 4, your other safety spot. That's where you can get those margins from the draft. But Brian Cook and Trent McDuffie are a very good foundation for the secondary for the second act of the dynasty. Next, going to be Leo Chenal. I want to extend Leo Chenal 1 year early. This year, 31 tackles, 3 sacks, 0 forced fumbles, 24 run stops, 11 pressures, and 1 interception. He is a fantastic run defender, but I will say, when he was asked to get more of that pass rushing prowess and being a sack guy, he was not that. He became the most impactful linebacker on the team, though, because, again, he's more that blitzing linebacker than he is a pass rusher, right? But I think Leo Chenal, when it comes to blitzing, which they asked him to do a lot of this year, while he was effective with 3 sacks, he only got 11 pressures. Not great. But when it comes to being a run stopper, this is the dude you want in your linebacker room for the future. I think he's a foundational piece of the second era of the Chiefs football. I think Nick Bolton has been a whiff of a signing, so I think they're going to move off that contract eventually, whether it's this year or next year. And I think Leo Chenal is going to be that guy for the future. I'm going to give him a wrong thing. Sorry, my fault. I'm going to give him a 3-year, $32.5 million deal, $20.5 million guaranteed at 63%. I am not letting Leo Chenal walk. There's a 0% chance of it happening. He is on this team 100%, and I'm going to feel very comfortable with him being on this team for the next 3 years. While again, in 2026, the goal is to make the playoffs. Not win a Super Bowl, it's make the playoffs, because you're more than likely going to have a 1-year stopgap starter in replacement of Patrick Mahomes. And with that 1 year, you'll probably get 8 to 10 games of that replacement guy, and maybe Mahomes finishes off the season. So your goal is to make the playoffs, not win a Super Bowl this year. So I think Leo Chenal is more of a plan for 27 and 28 when he's making that big money. Is, hey, now that Mahomes is back fully healthy a year behind him of that injury, this is where we want Leo Chenal to be at his absolute peak, and I think that's what's going to line up perfectly. So 3-year, $32.5 million. Next, going to be Trent McDuffie. I'm going to be giving him an extension. In 2026, he's on his 5th-year deal, so you can't touch it. But Trent McDuffie last year had 53 tackles, 1 interception, 1 forced fumble, 20 run stops, 1 sack, and 4 pass breakups. He is the most essential guy in the secondary. There is no one else in the secondary as valuable or as good as Trent McDuffie. You were lucky when you had L'Jarius Sneed and he was coming up on the end of his contract. They had drafted Trent McDuffie and he hit immediately. You can't rely on that this year. You have to extend him. You have to know that Trent McDuffie is the guy for the future. You have Noah Williams, who had a really good rookie year, and you have a plethora of 5th, 6th, 7th rounders you have on the team as well. So for me, I want Trent McDuffie for the long term. The future duo of Noah Williams and Trent McDuffie, that's going to be a redo of Snead and Trent. But again, I want Trent McDuffie here for the long term. This is my number 1 corner. This is the dude who's going to lock down any opposite wide receiver 1 that I can rely on night in and night out. Lockdown number 1 guys are hard to come across. Again, I think L'Jarius Sneed, there's a very real chance he gets cut for cap reasons, and he could end up back on the Chiefs maybe, but I'm guaranteeing that Trent McDuffie and Noah Williams will be my guys for the future. So I'm going to give him a 4-year, $90 million extension, $52.5 million guaranteed at 58% guaranteed. That is absolutely the number I'm feeling comfortable with. I don't want to go $1 more, because while he is very essential, I don't think he's an upper echelon corner, right? I don't think he's a Pro Bowl corner. I think he's good enough to be a lockdown guy, but just underrated enough to where he won't be making Pro Bowls and all-pro teams. He'll lock down your guy, he'll be consistent, but he'll never be that 8-interception guy who absolutely destroys guys in the line of scrimmage. But I think he's very essential. I want him extended for the long term. So he's in the top 5 of money. He does not eclipse that number 1 contract, though. Now, entering free agency, you're at positive $36 million, which I feel very comfortable with. Enter free agency, because again, I'm trying to build for the future. So if I turn 2027's cap space into a negative number, I don't care yet. I'm willing to push that down the line. 2026 is what matters right now. Let's try and make the playoffs and build for the future for when Mahomes gets back healthy, and build up this roster so whatever 1-year guy you have starting has a very good roster to try and compete for a playoff spot. So entering free agency, my very first sign is going to be Breece Hall. I think Breece Hall makes the most sense. They were trying to trade for him at the trade deadline. They didn't want to trade a 3rd-round pick. I think Breece Hall will end up as a Kansas City Chief no matter what. I think the New York Jets are going to let him walk. I don't think they're going to franchise tag him. I think that relationship is splintered enough that there's no way Breece Hall comes back. So Breece Hall last year had 1,065 rushing yards, 4 touchdowns, 4.4 yards per carry, 26 10-plus yard runs, was 12th in the NFL, and 350 receiving yards, which was 9th in the NFL. He's been a great running back in New York, especially after that ACL tear. He has really come on as a very valuable, very consistent running back, even post-ACL tear. Because pre-ACL tear, this dude could have won Offensive Rookie of the Year. Like, that's the pace he was on before the ACL tear. So I do think that Breece Hall is very valuable in the NFL. I think there's still a lot of football in him. And he has shown unhappiness the last 2 years. He's been wanting to get traded. They never traded him because he's too good to get traded. But no one ever sent enough draft capital for them to actually do it. So he's kind of stuck on the New York Jets roster. They almost traded for him midseason. But again, that third down pick they want to hold on to rather than have Breece Hall. Which makes sense. You know, Mahomes eventually tore his ACL. Maybe if they had Breece Hall, a consistent running back, they don't have Mahomes run it as much as he did and doesn't lead to the ACL tear. But you can't talk about the past. You can only talk about the future. I want to get Breece Hall on this team immediately. And they finally get their running back one for the future. I'm going to give him a 3-year, $22 million deal with $8.5 million guaranteed. So he gets his money up front. Right, he gets that $9 million signing bonus. So that's $9 million immediately year one. Year two, you get that $8 million, $4 million of it guaranteed. So you get $17 million basically over the first 2 years. That's great money for a running back, especially with Breece Hall, who wants to try and win a championship. You can run on the accolade of, hey, you're going to have a fantastic season with the Kansas City Chiefs. And if we want to move on from you in 2027, you can go land somewhere else and get another big deal. Or in 2026, you really impressed us. We give you a pay raise, a longer extension. I just didn't feel comfortable giving him a massive deal. I don't think he's going to get a massive deal in free agency because of the ACL tear immediately in his career. That's going to slow him down, right? That has slowed him down. 4.4 yards per carry. That's not ideal. Usually 5 yards per carry is where those elite guys start coming into, where they get the $9, $10, $11 million a year. That's not Breece Hall. Again, very good receiver as well, but I do think there's going to be things that hinder his market. I think the Kansas City Chiefs will get a discount on him because he wants to try and win a championship, and they're like, hey, here's the number, take it or leave it. I think he's going to take it. Next is going to be Rasul Douglas. Rasul Douglas, I'm going to give him a 1-year deal. He had 47 tackles, 2 interceptions, 1 forced fumble, 22 run stops, and 9 pass breakups with the Miami Dolphins. He's been a solid corner for a few years now. That trade to Buffalo really saved his career because it really put him on a massive stage, how consistently good he is. He had a stellar blitzing year out of the nickel. Really the only secondary guy from Miami that's worth a damn. Him and Ifeatu Melifonwu. But Ifeatu is more like he's young and can, I think, still get better. Rasul Douglas is ready to come and compete for a Super Bowl right now. He's a veteran that can play slot and boundary. But here, I want him playing that slot corner position. And I think him, Noel Williams, and Chuck McDuffie is an elite corner trio. I think that immediately can elevate this roster day one. So I'm going to give him a 1-year, $4 million fully guaranteed. And again, I think he definitely still has a lot of ball in him. I think he can come here probably for a little bit less money than he can get in the open market at $4 million. But it's fully guaranteed. You get to play on a championship caliber team with one of the greatest head coaches of all time. That is a pitch for these aging veterans. And speaking of aging veterans, my last free agent that I want to talk about is Aaron Rodgers. Yes, I know. Go in the comments, dislike the video, write in the comments how dumb I am. Let me talk about it. So Aaron Rodgers had 3,300 yards this year, 24 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Solid numbers. Definitely was not a flashy 24-7, but he still takes care of the ball. I know it's not happening, but let me talk about it. Mahomes is out next year. At minimum, I'd say 8 to 10 games Mahomes is going to miss. 8 to 10 games no matter what. Quarterback 1 is up for grabs. On a championship caliber team, right? A playoff caliber team that Mahomes has carried to the Super Bowl multiple years. One of the greatest head coaches of all time. One of the greatest offensive head coaches of all time. Eric Bieniemy having this offense very efficient. A upgraded running back room with Breece Hall, where Breece and Aaron Rodgers already know each other. A wide receiver room with a lot of interesting options. You could probably bring back Travis Kelce if Aaron Rodgers comes in, because that's a veteran. They know each other. They have a lot of respect for each other. And I think it makes a lot of sense. You can try and maximize this roster still. This would be a team that, hey, we have Aaron Rodgers. If we still think that when Mahomes comes back, we can make a Super Bowl push, Aaron Rodgers is the best available quarterback for a 1-year deal to come over to Kansas City, be with Andy Reid, be with this offense where you have a bunch of speed guys that you do a couple of slant routes that can take it 80 yards. You have a running back in Breece Hall that you really believe in, and a really good offensive line. I think this is a perfect spot for Aaron Rodgers. They could tank as well and try and go get Jeremiah Smith in the 2027 draft, but I think Andy Reid knows he only has so many years coaching left. They know these windows for Super Bowls close so quickly. Aaron Rodgers has a chance to maximize on a roster that they believe can win a Super Bowl. And when Mahomes comes back, Aaron Rodgers can take a step back and say, you know what? I played for 8 to 10 games. I'm happy. Now I'll ride the bench for Mahomes. And if Mahomes is out for the entire year, right? Let's say his rehab goes wrong. You have Aaron Rodgers that you know can get to the playoffs. And I think it's a good fit. I think it makes a lot of sense. But they could also tank and just re-sign. They can go and sign like Zach Wilson for a year. And he'll be the starter. And then just go for the highest pick possible in 2027. But I'm telling you, I think it's possible Aaron Rodgers ends up on this team. 1 year, $10 million. I think it makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. Some other signings I want to talk about. Jack Cochran, linebacker. Jack Cochran, linebacker. This is a veteran depth piece, good run stopper. Elandon Roberts, another linebacker. Again, this is that veteran voice in that linebacker room. PJ Locke, veteran safety. I think it's very unlikely because of his history with the Denver Broncos that he goes to the Kansas City Chiefs. But veteran safety, free safety, strong safety mix. And I do think they bring back Juju Smith-Schuster. I think it makes a lot of sense. 1 year, $2 million. He knows the offense. He knows the plan, what they want to do. Be the veteran for the guys continuously. And he'll be very cheap. So, entering the draft, you got $15 million in the draft. You're feeling really good. You're saying, awesome, we have all these draft picks, $15 million to play with. So we can sign off our draft picks for about $9 to $12 million. Still be in the green, not having to worry about it. Awesome. And here's what I do in the drafts. I'm really happy with what I did in the draft. So, here's what I did. In the draft, at number 9, the Kansas City Chiefs do not take Jeremiah Love because they have Breece Hall. They instead pivot and go Peter Woods, D-tackle from Clemson. Peter Woods is a great D-tackle prospect that I think can become the next Chris Jones for the second era of the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't think Spagnuolo is going anywhere. Even if Andy Reid retires, I do think Spagnuolo is going to stay on for another 5 to 10 years. So I think Chris Jones, this could be his replacement. Great run stopper, has the motor to get to the quarterback, constantly fights through blockers, can move all across the defensive line from nose tackle to wide 9, doesn't matter, can play all the positions. Very physical. I think he'd be the perfect fit for the future of the D-tackle position in a Kansas City Chiefs defense. And for the next year or two, him next to Chris Jones is going to be unfair. And as he gets that NFL weight on him, I think he can easily take over Chris Jones' spot as that D-tackle number 1 for this team. I think it'd be unfair cheat code, those two in the middle stopping the run against any offense. Then at number 40, I'm going to grab Omar Cooper Jr., the wide receiver from Indiana. He's a possession receiver that I think pairs very well with Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy. He has a great catch radius, can make crazy athletic catches, great toe taps, great run blocker, and very physical after the catch. He is exactly what I think this wide receiver core needs. Just a hard-nosed guy who can catch the ball and goes down for that yards. He's an older prospect as well, so he knows what he's doing. He's played a lot of college football, so he knows what he's talking about. He knows how to play football, can come in and help them compete immediately. No development, can just immediately come in and provide a lot of good stuff for them. Then number 74, I'm going to grab Michael Trigg, the tight end from Baylor. Trigg, pass-catching tight end that can easily replace what Travis Kelce does if he does retire. Him with Noah Gray and Jared Wiley is a trio to help out a thinner wide receiver room. All 3 of those guys are solid pass catchers out of the middle. He can block as well, but I definitely think I see him as more of a pass catching tight end than a run blocking tight end. But if he can develop his run blocking, this could be a dude who could start for them by year 2 or year 3. But this is an investment for the future. You have Noah Gray, you have Jared Wiley, who are already on the team. You trust Noah Gray a lot. He's been for this team for like 7 years now, so you would more than likely take over that starting position. But Michael Trigg will be a shot for the future and a dude that has a lot of potential. Then I'm going to trade up. Oh, no, I trade back. I apologize. I'm going to trade back because you're at 109. You're going to slip back 12 spots, pick up a couple extra 6th and 7th round picks. The Steelers are able to move up for a player. You're able to move back, gain even more draft capital. So I do think this team needs to build for the future, and that means a lot of cheap young guys. So I think whatever the team is, they're going to want to trade back, and they want this year 6th and 7th round picks to get cheap guys on the roster right now. So from 109 to 121, we trade back. I'm going to grab Demon Claiborne. Demon is a physical downhill runner. He can be the thumping tackle breaker like Pacheco for Breece Hall's more game-breaking speed and his great vision. This is the thumper. This is the Kareem Hunt role. This is the Isaiah Pacheco role for this offense. Him and Brashard Smith, they would battle it out for running back 2. But since Brashard Smith was not a Eric Bieniemy draft pick, it was an Andy Reid's there. But it was a Matt Nagy offensive coordinator pick. I think Devin Claiborne can come in, battle it out for Brashard Smith to get that running back 2 role. Because again, he's a very physical runner. He loves just putting his shoulder down and knocking dudes over. I think that pairs very well opposite of Breece Hall for the future. Then at 146, I'm going to grab Ndame Tucker. You guys know I've been very high on Ndame Tucker. The last 2 or 3 offseason plans. He's one of my guys in the 5th and 6th round that I think could be a really high-end role player for you. Depth edge, finally got playing time this year and had 14 sacks. First time he's got real playing time, he had 14 sacks for Western Michigan. He makes the most out of his chances. He's 6'3", 250. That's almost ideal size for an edge rusher. He's a good run defender too, but I do think at the worst, he's a situational edge rusher for a team that really needs those guys that can get 2 to 5 sacks a season, right? You don't need a dude right now who gets 20 sacks a season. Would it be nice? Absolutely. But if you can get 3 or 4 guys that combine for 25, 30 sacks, that is exactly what this team needs, and Ndame Tucker is the dude at the edge that I think can just churn out 4 to 6 sack seasons continuously. So I'm gonna grab him in the 5th round. Then at 176, I'm grabbing Nate Borkature. Nate Borkature, run blocking tight end, not a great pass catcher, can run some routes, but he's definitely more of a run blocker. I feel very good. Put him in the red zone packages. Let him be that run blocker. He has a good frame as well. So if you want to throw him some jump balls, go ahead. But at worst, you have your situational run blocking tight end behind Jared Wiley, Noah Gray, and Michael Trigg, all receivers right now. You got Nate Borkature, great run blocker. Then at 214, TJ Hall, the corner from Iowa. Slot corner. He's been fine. Nothing special. He's a fine corner. Most of your depth corners, actually, that I talked about earlier, that those 5th, 6th, 7th round draft picks the last couple of years, a lot of them are free agents, so I don't see them re-signing a whole lot of 6th and 7th round draft picks for anything. You can just draft them again. So I'm going to grab TJ Hall to replace those guys. He can play some boundary, but I see him more long-term in that nickel role. So if you have, for the 1-year option of Rasul Douglas, then you have TJ Hall right behind him kind of developing. I'd feel very comfortable in the future letting TJ Hall fight for a starting job next year and feel like, cool, we drafted him in the 6th round. If he's a backup for 4 years, we'll take it. But next year, once Rasul Douglas is gone, we can see what he has. Then at 237, I'm grabbing a shot in the dark at Demetrius Crownover, the tackle from A&M. Developmental right tackle. He's 6'7", 330 pounds. A 7th round swing at a once 3rd round prospect. He's dropped off the boards due to injury and poor play. He moves well for his size. So again, shot in the dark in the 7th round. This offensive line is built off of late round draft picks. So this is my attempt at that, of a guy that I think huge size, played at a D1 A+ school. I think has a lot of potential at his size. And the Kansas City Chiefs offensive line, their coach and their offense is amazing. So I think they can definitely get the most out of him. So it's a 7th round shot in the dark. Let's see if he turns into anything. More than likely, this is a backup for 4 years. You'll take that. You'll take that. So entering the season, this would be the depth chart then. At quarterback, you have Aaron Rodgers as a starter, Chris Ludicon as the backup, with Mahomes on IR, and eventually would take over the starting job if healthy enough. At running back, you have Breece Hall, you have Dameon Pierce, who you signed to a future deal already, so that's a competent backup running back. Then Brashard Smith and Devin Claiborne fighting out for running back 3 and running back 2 snaps even over Dameon Pierce. At tight end will be Noah Gray, Jared Wiley as your starters, with Michael Trigg as that 3rd round pick that definitely will get playing time in year 1, and Nate Borkature, more of that run blocking tight ends. Then at wide receiver, you have Rashee Rice, Omar Cooper, Xavier Worthy, Jalen Royals, Nico Remigio, and Juju Smith-Schuster. Again, a lot of wide receivers, they do a lot of different things, which I really like guys that do a bunch of different things. Xavier Worthy, that speedster. Juju, that possession slot receiver. Rashee, that number 1 wide receiver type of mold that hopefully can develop into that if he doesn't get suspended again. Then Omar Cooper, that's a consistent, like Chris Godwin type of wide receiver who's just always in the right spot at the right time. Not a big play dude, but once he catches the ball, he just gets in the zone and catches the ball. Then for the offensive line, the starters will be Josh Simmons, Kingsley Suamataia, Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith, Jalen Moore. That's your starting 5. 4 of the 5 returning from last year, with Jalen Moore now being a starter. Then Issa Pohl, Demetrius Crownover, your backup tackles. Then CJ Hansen and Hunter Norzad as your backups in the interior offensive line. Then D-tackle, you have Chris Jones, Omar Norman-Law, who you drafted last year, Zach Pickens, and Peter Woods. That's an elite D-tackle room. Straight up, that's an elite D-tackle room. Then edge, you have George Karlaftis, who should be the edge number 1, but really struggled this year. Michael Dana, been there for like 5 or 6 years now. Felix Anudike-Uzomah, former first-round pick that's been a bust so far. Hopefully this year can put it together. Ashton Gilotti, I think a former 4th-round pick this last year. He had some moments as a rookie. Then Ndamukong Tucker, who is the rookie they're adding into the room. Linebacker, Drew Tranquill, Nick Bolton, Leo Chenal. 3 starters for the last 2 or 3 years now. With Jeffrey Bossa, you drafted last year. Jack Cochran, we bring in free agency. Cole Christensen and Atlanta Roberts. Very, very veteran linebacker room. I didn't add any draft picks to the linebacker room because I think this is a very veteran linebacker room with Jeffrey Bossa as the future of the young guys. But I didn't want to add anyone. I think that's a very good linebacker room. Then at corner, you have Trent McDuffie, Noah Williams, Chris Roland Wallace, and it would not let me put Rasul Douglas at nickel. So Rasul Douglas is the starting nickel corner with Chris Roland Wallace as a backup. TJ Hall and Christian Fulton also as backups. So you have a 6-man cornerback room. Makes a lot of sense. That's what most teams do. Then at safety, you have Brian Cook, Shamari Connor, Jaden Hicks. Those are 3 guys that did a lot of 3 safety looks, with Jaden Hicks actually going to nickel corner as well. So you already have 3 safeties that you really believe in, with PJ Locke being that veteran voice in the safety room. I think it's a pretty good roster. Is it amazing? I don't know. I don't think it's amazing, especially with not Patrick Mahomes at the helm. I do think if this was the roster, I do think that Travis Kelce would come out of retirement. I don't think he would go into retirement. I think he would stay as an active player and come back next year because he would have Aaron Rodgers throwing him the ball, a upgraded offensive line, right, with no Juwan Taylor, so you save that $20 million, another wide receiver, and Eric Bieniemy back. I think that's a big pull as well. And if he knew that Mahomes would eventually come back healthy, I think that would be a selling point. And the defense gets a lot of boosting. Like, a lot of draft picks went to the defense. A lot of money went to the defense. I think it makes a lot of sense for Travis Kelce to come back. But this is if Travis Kelce does retire, because it is looking that way that he's done. So, yeah, if you guys enjoyed, please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know in the comments down below. What do you think of this offseason plan for the Kansas City Chiefs? Is it a little bit crazy? Yes, I don't think Aaron Rodgers is coming to the Kansas City Chiefs, but I want to call it ahead of time. That if a team was going to sign him to be a starter, I think the Chiefs make so much sense. So if you guys enjoyed, put a like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys later. Peace and bye.